It all began the night of the grand party. The lights were bright, music spilled into the air, and laughter echoed through the mansion. Everyone was there, the rich, the powerful, the beautiful. But when midnight struck, one of the guests was gone, vanished. No one heard a scream, no one saw a struggle. Just one person missing, and one woman smiling quietly to herself. They whispered later that she had returned, the woman they betrayed, the one they blamed for murder, the one who had lost everything, her home, her name, her love. But what no one knew was that her pain had turned into something fierce, something cold, something unstoppable. She came back not for forgiveness, but for vengeance. And what happened next will shock you. Her name was Claire Winslow. To everyone in town, she was perfect. She had married a kind man named Thomas, ran a small charity, and hosted parties filled with music and joy. People admired her smile, envied her beauty, and wished they had her life. But behind every perfect life, there is a shadow waiting to grow. One night, Thomas fell ill. They ate dinner, they laughed, and then suddenly he collapsed at the table. The doctors couldn't save him. The town was heartbroken at first. Then came the whispers. She cooked that meal. She wanted his money. She did it because of another man. Whispers turned into rumors, and rumors turned into lies. Her best friend Sarah testified in court that Claire had confessed to the crime. Her husband's business partner said she was greedy and cold. The lawyer who promised to defend her betrayed her to save himself. In the blink of an eye, her world fell apart. The mansion was seized. The people she once called friends wouldn't look her in the eye. Even her family turned away. The trial ended quickly. One word echoed in the courtroom: guilty. But here's the twist. There was no proof. No poison found, no clear motive, just stories told by liars who wanted her gone. Claire went to prison with only one thought in her heart. If love could die so easily, then maybe fury could bring it back. The world forgot her. Years passed. She was released quietly, without anyone noticing. And that was their first mistake, because Claire Winslow was gone, and someone new had been born. 10 years later, the city was buzzing about a new name, Vivienne Hale. She was glamorous, mysterious, and rich beyond belief. No one knew where she came from. Only that she had returned from overseas with beauty and money that could buy anything. Her parties were unlike anything the elite had ever seen. Silver fountains, live orchestras, champagne that flowed all night. Everyone wanted an invitation. Everyone who mattered got one. And slowly, very carefully, she began to invite all the people who destroyed her life. The lawyer who sold her secret, the business partner who spread lies, the friend who betrayed her trust, the judge who smiled as he sentenced her. They came one by one, unaware of who she was, because Vivienne's face had changed. Her name was different, and time had hidden all traces of the woman they ruined. But she never forgot any of them. At her first party, the lawyer arrived drunk and laughing. He clinked his glass with hers and said, "I feel like we've met before."
She smiled gently. Maybe in another life. That same night, he didn't make it home. His car was found at the bottom of a cliff. Everyone called it an accident. But was it? At her next gala, the businessman suffered a sudden heart attack. People gasped, paramedics rushed in, and Vivienne covered her mouth, pretending to be shocked. Her kindness was praised on the evening news. And still, no one suspected anything. At each event, tragedy struck again and again, guests vanishing, dying, or losing everything overnight. The city began murmuring about a curse that followed her celebrations. Still, she smiled, mailed out more invitations, and kept dancing through her carefully planned chaos. She didn't seek pity, she sought balance. And she knew that revenge only mattered if her enemies realized the hand behind it. So she began to drop hints. Small phrases, familiar gestures, an echo of her old self in the middle of conversation. Things like, "Isn't it strange how the past never truly dies?" Or, "People always get what they deserve, don't you think?" The walls began closing in on them. The surviving guests grew anxious, looking over their shoulders, whispering about coincidences and ghosts. But still they came when she invited them, because they couldn't resist the beauty, the charm, the woman who made them feel both admired and afraid. And then came the final invitation, one that promised a celebration of forgiveness. But what happened next would turn every perfect lie into a storm of truth. The last gala took place in her old mansion, restored to perfection, the same one they had ripped from her hands a decade earlier. Every chandelier sparkled, music filled the air, every glass clinked with laughter that sounded almost nervous. On the grand staircase, Vivienne stood dressed in midnight blue, her eyes calm and cold. "Tonight," she said softly, "we drink to second chances." They cheered, not knowing that this would be their last toast together. As the evening carried on, guests began noticing strange things. Portraits on the walls that seemed too familiar. Faces that looked like theirs, but painted from years ago. One painting showed her husband Thomas, with several of them standing nearby, hidden in the shadows behind him. The judge frowned. "Where did you get these?" Vivienne smiled. "They were always here. You just never wanted to see them." The music stopped. Then she began to speak, her voice calm and ringing through the hall. "10 years ago, you said I killed the man I loved. But tonight, I want to thank you, because you gave me something greater than love. You gave me fury." She walked slowly across the room, her heels echoing like the ticking of a clock. "You," she said, pointing to the lawyer, "sold lies for money. You," to Sarah, "chose fear over friendship. And you," to the judge, "played God." Someone shouted, "This isn't funny!" Her lips curved slightly. It was never meant to be. Then came the confession none of them expected. "You were the ones who killed him. You stole everything from the man I loved, his company, his pride, his will to live. You made him take that last drink. You made him believe I betrayed him. You killed him, not me." The truth struck the room like lightning. People gasped, faces turned pale, hearts pounded. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a single key.
the key to the mansion's front doors. She tossed it into the fire. The flames rose higher. "You wanted to lock me away," she said, "but tonight you'll learn what that feels like." The scent of smoke filled the air. Panic spread as they realized the doors wouldn't open. But she stood there, calm as ever, watching the flames reflect in her eyes. Then she whispered, "Thomas, this is for you." The next day, police found the mansion quiet. The fire had burned out, but no bodies were found. Only ashes and a single rose laid in the center of the ballroom. Some swear they saw her walking down the road toward the old pier. Others say she was seen again months later in Paris, dressed in white, smiling as if freed from a long nightmare. No one ever proved she survived. No one ever proved she didn't. But here's the part that no one ever talks about. A few months later, several invitations arrived in the mailboxes of the city's wealthiest citizens. Each envelope was sealed with red wax and carried the same message: "For old time's sake." No one knows who sent them. Some say the ink smelled faintly of roses, the same kind she always wore. And every year since, someone disappears around that time. Someone who once whispered lies, told secrets, or hurt another for profit or pride. Coincidence? Maybe. Or perhaps the heart that once burned with love now burns with something else, something eternal. Because love can forgive, but fury never forgets.